What's up, everyone? It is Zero here, bringing you all a new show, that being called Gamer Thrones. Welcome, everyone, to Gamer Thrones, guys. This is the best TV movie-related show on YouTube, and I'm super excited about this episode. Let's get into it. So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gamer Thrones, guys, where we're going to be talking about things in the world of movies, TV shows, and obviously me being a gamer, someone who has grown up loving video games and things of that nature. I wanted to go ahead and start a show where I talk about some of the things that I really obviously enjoy outside of gaming. One of those things being filmmaking, TV shows, movies, entertainment, showbiz. I went to school at the New York Film Academy as well as Ohio University for filmmaking. Did a short-term program at the New York Film Academy, and I did went to school a couple of years at Ohio University studying film. But that being said, guys, I want to talk on this first episode of the show about the first episode, really my first impressions of House of the Dragon. So Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, this first episode that came out was something pretty special because I am one of those individuals who did not like Game of Thrones as much as, a lot of people enjoyed it. I thought it's a fine show, but I didn't think that it was something that was above and beyond, a number of other shows out there. I definitely preferred other shows over Game of Thrones. But I've been very excited for House of the Dragon. And maybe it's just something new. It's, set a couple hundred years before the events of Game of Thrones. It was probably a number of things, but I think for me, just kind of going back to the world in a different way with new characters and things of that nature was something that was intriguing to me. So obviously with the first episode that came out, what a special first episode. And I'll tell you, I enjoyed it in a massive way more than the first episode of Game of Thrones. Now, that's not saying that, the whole show, House of the Dragon, is going to be significantly better than Game of Thrones. But I will tell you, I believe it's off to a better start than Game of Thrones, at least in my mind. Now, obviously, this being in the Game of Thrones universe, I think that there's a lot that we can, that you can take from the first episode, but I also think that you kind of have to go watch this through, somewhat obviously thinking about Game of Thrones in the back of your mind, but remembering that this is set a couple hundred years before the events of Game of Thrones is important to kind of distinguish the two. I believe it's 200 years, but some people are saying it's 300 years before. But nonetheless, I loved this first episode. From the dragons, obviously it's called House of the Dragon, so there has to be more of an emphasis on the dragons, right? But I thought that the dragons in Game of Thrones were good up close, but when they were far away and they were flying through the air, they didn't look as good. But with this, you can just tell that the CGI for the dragons is incredible. So that's number one. The acting, I love the cast so far that they've put together. There were a lot of characters I did not like, unlikable characters in Game of Thrones. When Sean Bean, who was the main character of Game of Thrones in the beginning, when they killed him off, I loved him as a character, and when they killed him off, that was kind of the beginning of the end for me when it came to Game of Thrones. And obviously Game of Thrones felt like it took a lot longer to get into. House of the Dragon feels we're kind of jumping right into it, right? And that's a exciting exciting thing for me, at least. I really like that it kind of jumps right into the story, into what they're trying to do here. But there's still at the very end of the first episode, I wanted to see so much more. I wanted to learn more about this world, learn more about these individual characters, and I can't wait to see what that looks like in future, entries. And it'll be interesting to see, if this is going to be a show that's going to go a number of seasons. Based on the viewership of episode 1, it looks like they are going to absolutely do that. They are going to put this, if they haven't greenlit a second season, I'm sure they probably did after the viewership, because the viewership sounded like it was around 12 million people watching it on opening night when it released at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for me. I know for people out in West Coast, 6 o'clock. But I was shocked at how much I enjoyed this first episode of the show. And I can't wait to see more. Those are kind of my first impressions. I mean, from, acting, visually, the dragons, from CGI, all of it so far seems great. And I think it's a great first episode, could kind of set everything. And it definitely was not boring. I felt like the first episode of Game of Thrones didn't have enough action and kind of really set the stage for what to expect. This had the perfect amount of action, grittiness, had a grounded feel to it at times. I'm excited about it. I really am. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about it in the comment section down below. What do you think about House of the Dragon Episode 1? We're going to be talking in depth, guys, about Game of Thrones House of the Dragon as time goes. Super excited about it. Let me know what you guys think, like I said, and let's have a real conversation about it.